Okay, America.
Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
The President of the United States is crucifying an American journalist in front of the Saudi Crown Prince, MBS, who our own CIA has said ordered the dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi, crucifying her for asking about the murder and dismemberment of Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi at the hands of the guy sitting next to him. MBS is MBS is going to sleep tonight. He's tucking in tonight, giggling, kicking his feet in the air. He knows for the next 3 years, it's open season. There are no consequences. As long as he has money to bring to this guy, I can do whatever I want. That's the story of Trump's life and career. Our orange shit stain of a president sat there and berated he might as well have just handed it off to MBS, let him do it, and tell her, you shouldn't talk to a man like that. A woman shouldn't talk to a man like that. And turn to Trump and take a high five. Like, be proud to be an American. It's all I hear. Bitch, how? Look at my guy. I know there's basically infinite money and investment opportunity in the Middle East. I know geopolitically, there's some good people to have on our side over there. That doesn't mean bend over and let the Saudi crown prince and his customs and culture fuck you 12 ways to Sunday here in America. Just because they chop up journalists over there and hate gays over there doesn't mean excuse it and start barking at a reporter doing her job here. Just to protect this terrible man's ego, this terrible human being and his ego. Like, he wants American influence. He can take the heat for his inhumanity and be expected to cut it out. Also, a federal judge in Texas, appointed by Donald Trump, knocked down Trump and Greg Abbott's new gerrymandered map today. Said, nope, that doesn't work. Use the one you used in 2021. The state that kicked off this whole redistricting battle across the country this year, the party whose thirst for power this year has resulted in such incredible amounts of time and energy being wasted, being spent not on us, but on these gerrymandering and power grabs on both sides now this year. They've been told no by a Trump-appointed federal judge who previously served on the Texas Supreme Court. The judge's opinion actually referenced Trump DOJ's letter to Greg Abbott, the one Pam Bondi sent, that said to explicitly draw new districts based on race. This judge said, yeah, no, we don't do that. We can't do that. This is the small silver lining of Trump times. Their incompetence often gets in their way quite a bit. But don't worry, Texas, as we continue to pay out the ass for electricity and food and transportation and housing. Governor Abbott said they'll be taking this to the United States Supreme Court for appeal. So that's how he'll be spending his time going forward. I'm so glad. My best guess, as it looks like the Supreme Court is likely to rule against Trump on his tariffs, is that they'll feel the need to certainly not hand him 2 losses in a row back to back, and will probably reverse this ruling and let the new maps proceed. In the off chance that doesn't happen, it will mean Republicans spent this entire year dedicating, again, untold amounts of energy and time and money and political capital not helping us, not doing anything for us, but redistricting, all to lose seats because of it. Because California's map likely still moving forward. See, when you do clownery,
the clown comes back to bite.
A lot of Republicans in the past few days are now, 9 years later, paying concern and attention to the fact that Donald Trump is a dick. Now that he's attacking some of the more reputable Republicans as of late, like mocking Thomas Massey for losing his wife of 30 years last summer. Yeah, fucking awful. or attacking Indiana Republicans so profusely for not gerrymandering Indiana to be more red that Indiana state senators are having their homes swatted. Not great from the president. Or sending his base after Marjorie Taylor Greene for leading the charge on the Epstein file release. With all of this, a bunch of Republicans are saying, whoa, hey, that's not cool. I can't stand by this guy. This guy's losing it. If what you're referring to by it is common decency and the ability to shut the fuck up if you don't have anything nice to say, Donald Trump never had it. Y'all just excused him or cheered him on because, it was haha fucking hilarious, or the people he was targeting were libs, so it was totally fine. This is actually kind of the genesis for why so many Trump haters or Democrats in general have a hard time breaking bread with MAGA family members, because it's like, yeah, we clocked this guy was a terrible human being 9 years ago. If someone talked to you, if your boss or your teacher or your parent or someone in your friend group, your social group, talked to you the way Trump addresses people, you'd be horrified and broken. So yeah, it's pretty disappointing and a bit alarming that you've been co-signing and voting for a guy who talks like that to strangers on a regular basis, who encourages millions of people to treat others like that, who wants to turn our discourse in this country to shit like that. Yeah, that's a red flag for how you might treat me or speak of me behind my back. So no, I don't really want to be around you. Oh, but you're canceling family members for having differing political views. No, I'm putting distance between myself and someone who perpetuates terribleness. It's like a basic social reaction of human beings. Maybe now that y'all are admitting that you're aware of that you understand that, we can stop this woe is me, I voted for a racist, fascist Nazi 3 times in a row, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me.
You posted on X that President Trump is, with his comments, fueling a, quote, hotbed of threats against you. But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people.
Marge gets it. And sorry, I'm buying what she's selling. Yeah, she found a lane to break into from an obviously weakening president and is centering herself, at least rhetorically, to run for higher office. Yep, she's being real and reasonable and actually interested in being productive lately. None of those things her GOP colleagues can say at all. It's the bare minimum, and I'm not voting for Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I'm going to reward her for it because that's where we are. Okay, MAGA's favorite acronyms this year have been DOGE, efficient government work, and DEI, no unqualified dummies getting jobs they shouldn't. Judge says possible errors by Lindsay Halligan could imperil Comey case. A federal judge says government misconduct may have tainted the criminal case against former FBI Director James Comey, describing a cascade of apparent errors by lead prosecutor Lindsay Halligan. James Comey, one of Donald Trump's least favorite people, who, looking at the facts, likely didn't commit any crimes other than being one of Donald Trump's least favorite people, which is a crime in Donald Trump's America. So when all of the actual government prosecutors told Trump and Pam Bondi to kick rocks, they said, no, I'm not bringing this case. They installed this single brain-celled organism to get the job done. And she is so bad at her job that we are now wasting more time and dollars on this already waste of time of a case. Doge, efficient? Nope. No more DEI? Smart, capable workers? No. When you see people say Donald Trump could release the files at any time, they're absolutely correct. The House and effectively the Senate today passed the Epstein files bill, which will require the DOJ to release all the Epstein files they want to release and redact it as much as they want them to be redacted. He could tell Pam Bondi to release them at any time just to do it, and she would. Instead, now this bill goes to his desk where he says he'll sign it. This is not hard, and exactly why I said last week that Trump and his White House staff were obviously cooking up something wicked, some wicked plan B, C, and D, because for the entirety of the year, he has been directing Pam Bondi and Kash Patel to hide and downplay and cover up the investigation. The entire year, he's been calling it a hoax. The entire year, the White House, led by J.D. Vance, has been telling us not to believe our eyes as we read these leaked letters and emails that make Trump look guilty as shit. The entire year, Trump has been threatening publicly Republicans who pushed to have the files released. So obviously, Trump and his advisors saw the situation was breaking out from under their control and that Trump was likely headed for his most embarrassing defeat ever, led by his own party overwhelmingly voting for this. So he had to switch course and suddenly came out for it. And now they're going to have to move to plan B to cover it up, which is likely going to be the DOJ stalling to release the files because the investigation is still ongoing. So if you have another read on it, I'd love to hear it. Here's a view into the future, okay? Eli Weinstein, after having his sentence commuted by Trump in 2021, was convicted again this March of defrauding his investors out of $35 million and was sentenced this week to 37 years in prison. This marked the third time Weinstein had been convicted in a New Jersey federal court for defrauding investors. The first case involved a real estate Ponzi scheme, and the second stemmed from additional fraud he committed while on pretrial release. Jesus. For those latter two cases, which resulted in combined losses to investors of approximately $230 million, he was sentenced to 24 years in prison. But in 2021, the day before leaving office during his first term, Trump commuted Weinstein's term to time served after less than 8 years into his sentence. Shortly after he was released, Weinstein began orchestrating the scheme for which he was sentenced last week. If the president letting his friends and buddies and people with connections and money off to walk free doesn't bother you, if rich, well-connected people or January 6 rioters getting off while other innocent Americans wrongly convicted rot away in prison, if that's not enough for you, consider how many of the thousands of Americans, violent insurrectionists, greedy financiers, habitual scammers, will be targeting more Americans in the years to come because Donald Trump let them out. Your reminder, when the GOP tells you anything about law and order, to tell them to eat shit. Speaking of pardons, my fear as I hear liberal activists urge Democratic officials to start publicly saying out loud, Trump officials, Trump cabinet members, you might be able to get away with it now, but under the next Democratic administration, all of your corruption will be prosecuted. As I see people in my comments say, I hope Bondi is comfortable in a jail cell, or I hope Kristi Noem knows what's coming for her. My fear, my expectation really, is that we're going to get to the end of the road here in 3 years and basically going to have, at the end of Trump's term, like a Saturday Night Massacre situation, but with pardons. And Trump is just going to pardon his entire cabinet and White House and federal agencies up and down, like hundreds and hundreds of people. I'm assuming the plan is actually, and this has already been communicated and discussed, I'm guessing, is do whatever you want, do whatever the hell you want, because you're all getting pardons. And, I run the DOJ. Pam Bondi is my bitch. And I walk her daily. So don't worry about prosecution now. And you're all getting pardoned. So don't worry about prosecution later. Don't worry about breaking the law. Just do whatever I tell you to do now. Okay, America?